What's up, guys? It's Stacking Bits, and making a little video here to share my general perspective on the current market outlook for Bitcoin. So let's jump into this thing. Right now, we are looking at the weekly chart just to zoom out and get some perspective from a high time frame standpoint. So let's jump in and take a peek at this thing. What I want to do here is compare this current range where price is with past price action in this range over here, and just kind of look at things in as much of a simplistic way as possible, and see if we can draw some conclusions from this thing. And if I'm glancing at this thing right now over here, what really stands out to me is the areas of price sensitivity. When I say price sensitivity, I mean, we've got some areas where price dipped into, but obviously was rejected. We've got some candle closes and opens here. Obviously, here we got 3 candle closes and opens, followed by another rejection right here, and another rejection in the other direction over here. So that area is a standout area to me. So let's go ahead and throw a line across on this thing, highlight that. Next region that stands out to me is obviously right here. Price dip. This was pretty psychotic price action, to be honest with you. There's a lot of movement here. Massive fucking wick down into here. We had a reversal here. So, and then price railroaded in the other direction on the candle thereafter. You know what? What I'm going to do here on this one is we're going to throw one of these trader main boxes up on this motherfucker. From the candle bases down to, let's say, where this thing rejected and head the other direction. Just get a look at it. Also going to throw one on this close over here as it coincides more or less with where we bounced. And because I'm the guy that puts too many fucking lines on my chart, we're going to throw one right here. And I'm going to throw one right here because you can see this is obvious price sensitivity. We got a close here, we got an open here, we got a close here, we got a open here, and we got a rejection here. So this is obviously an area that's worth looking at. So that's pretty much that. Let's jump in on the 4-hour and zoom in on this thing and see what we're looking at. Get a little analysis and break it down. So we've got these weekly levels that have been, key areas: support, resistance, flips, some resistance here, blah, blah, blah. But what really stands out to me here more than anything is going to be this region right here. This seems like a fairly pivotal area with high sensitivity price action. You see when price descended down into this region initially as we entered this range, buyers stepped in with force, pretty aggressive, a couple of impulses, nice strong impulse here before bleeding back down. And when we bled back down into this area, sensitivity was extreme in the other rejection. It just fell through like quicksand. Aggressive dump when we reapproached this vicinity again. So extreme sensitivity here. Here again, it just dumped through. We retested into it before heading down and printing new lows again. And when we came up into it again, it was resistance, and then that same sensitivity. Not to be a broken record, but price blasted up through this thing and retested and took off. So we've had this impulse here. We've made our way back down, and something that stands out to me, I guess, right here would be we worked our way down here, and we had a nice little impulse here, but the reaction here was kind of strange. I mean, we had this consolidation period here, and then it dumped, and it was a bit of a stick in the mud before jumping back out of there. So this is a bit curious to me. Price, effectively we had this nice impulse up, and effectively what we did is printed a lower high here. So if I'm looking at this thing from a macro perspective, I am definitely still looking at it through bearish goggles. But I'm not going to ignore this area completely. It does seem like momentum is driving us back towards this area. This area is, seems to be a magnet of sorts for price. So I do anticipate that price revisits this area, and when it does, I'm on the sidelines watching. I'm currently in no position, so I'm looking to watch this thing and see what it does when it gets in this region. If we see strong wicks, strong buying support, significant volume step in here, I will definitely be looking for a safe entry on a long, and I would expect that we're going to be moving up from there. If this thing just kind of meanders and bleeds its way down and dumps through, and in particular, I will be watching this little support right here locally. Because this was our last, sorry about that, this was our last impulse, nice impulse upward that had, you know, some volume in it. So when this gets challenged, when we crack this, I'll be watching the reaction. Is the reaction going to be slow and steady, kind of like this was, just a stick in the mud? If that's the case, then I'll be looking to enter a short somewhere in this general vicinity, somewhere between this price and this price. I'll be looking for a safe entry on a short there, and my expectation following that would be that we test the lows, if not, you know, crack the lows and print some new lows. Cross that bridge when we come to it, but that would be my general expectation. So those are my two. Those are the two options. Those are the two things that I'm looking at. So it doesn't really matter what direction it goes. I think there's a great opportunity ahead, whether this thing goes up or down. I think it's highly probable that we see some sort of indication in this general vicinity of which direction price is going to go. That's basically my 2 cents on what my game plan is right now. To go a little more into depth on the larger picture, the macro picture. Let's take a look at this thing with the volume profile. Now I've got this measured from back in March of 2017, which was essentially a time of breakout for the entire crypto market, not just Bitcoin. And I've got it measured up until just pre-dump, so the good old days back when we were in the 6K range. Now, if we look at this thing, we can obviously see that we've got a massive gap here, another gap here, and this thing broke down like Jenga with the pieces pulled out. Down we went. Initially, I suspected that this region with volume here, that this would act as a potentially act as a strong support, and if we look back at it, obviously that was not the case. I was definitely wrong there. It tried to hold up price, but the momentum it broke down, and we worked our way down into this next gap here. And more or less, if you go to the bottom of this heavy volume portion here, you can see if you scan across the price, that's more or less the bottom of this thing so far. So let's take a look at this thing. If we drag this profile across to current price action, current date, you can see that that gap has filled. So congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, we have been participating in accumulation, a form of accumulation. A couple of things that stand out to me looking at this is one, if we look at the volume, obviously volume was trending down and it was dying. Very, very low volume throughout this entire range. And everything we've had here, this has been significant jump in volume. This thrust up, we've had nice, healthy volume moving in. Price is accumulating. We're filling in the gaps. So I look at this, and this looks like a nice, healthy market to me. What does it do from here? I have absolutely no idea. I do suspect that we are going to at least test the lows again. Maybe not, though. Maybe we jam up from here. If we do break down, I would have the hopes that this previous POC here, this previous point of control, high point of volume from the lower range around 2800 or so, my hope would be that holds and produces extreme buying support that produces a wick that drives price rather quickly back up into the current range, in the 3K range. That would be ideal scenario in my opinion if price broke down. If it slow bleeds down into there and there isn't a reaction, then we're probably going to be ranging down in the 2000s for some time as well. But if this recent price action and volume that's stepped into the market is any indication, I tend to lean towards anything below 3K being more likely than not a temporary thing. So, and then to talk about these other gaps up above, once we move up into this quadrant here, this next area of resistance may be somewhere around 4,800. And when we crack 4,800, you can see we got open air above us. Things are going to accelerate. That's probably when things take off and just blast. Lots of people are going to be FOMOing into this thing, and we're going to make our way up into the 6K region and get rejected because there's a horde of bag holders up there waiting to dump their bags on top of everybody. And this gap here definitely needs to be filled. Basically what we're looking for is this volume down here to supersede this volume up above us. When that happens, and however long it could take several months, that's when we're looking at the possibility of challenging 6K and the actual bull market resuming. Until then, all this action down in here is, one form or another, some accumulation to fill in all these gaps below. So lots of opportunity, lots of tools at your disposal, and that's kind of my breakdown. Hope everybody's having a bitchin' 2019 and kicking it off proper. Happy New Year to everybody, and yeah. Feel free to hit me up if you have any questions. I'm on Twitter. I'm in the pound. Peace.